welcome in Week 9 podcast. We're back to our normally scheduled programming, and our beloved Clayton is back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Busy, very busy 2 weeks. Very fun and awesome 2 weeks. But good to be back on the pod.
Well, we got to talk about what was going on, and we'll pull up some pictures of what was happening these last couple of weeks. Clayton, go right ahead. It's your story.
Yeah, yeah. Got married. It's been what? It's been a little over a week now. So got married to Hannah with Sammer being the officiant there, as you guys can see. Got the bling on the finger now.
A rock.
Taken to Ryan's disappointment. But no, it was good. We got a surprise little rainstorm. I guess not really a surprise. We saw it coming the week ahead, but first rain out there in 2 weeks or 2 months, and it rained 3 inches that day. But I was told a million times that if it rains on your wedding day, it's good luck. So I think we got a lot of good luck, and we were still able to have the ceremony outdoors, which is what we wanted. And I got to shout out the boys. They got me this super sick jersey, got Bratter on the back. I know that's Joey. Joey's and mine, favorite player. So pretty cool there. You can see the boys pictured in the background. Shout out Ryan, the best man, did an amazing job with the bachelor party, and his speech was absolutely incredible. And Joey teaching everybody how to do the cufflinks was very helpful.
And the Dougie.
Only me using the cufflinks. He also said a nice prayer, which was great. He had Casey out there, the pretty face. Always have to have one of those. And you got Lars, who was the drunk. So great group.
To be fair, Casey told me he was still hungover as of last Saturday, so he wasn't the only one.
Casey was pounding him down, or what?
Trying to. I think you got a hold too.
Yeah. That's good to hear. But it's good to have some of the OG fantasy boys by my side on my special day, and then just shout out to Hannah. She looked absolutely beautiful, and it was an honor to make it official and tie the knot.
Oh well, it was a beautiful day, beautiful ceremony, beautiful people. Couldn't be happier for you, and it was an honor to stand up there with you. If I couldn't be the bride, especially.
Yeah, next best thing, right?
Right. Sometimes the silver is all right. Well, with that, anything else before we get started here on our regularly scheduled stuff?
I'd like to shout out the Devils because they're about to lose their winning streak probably during the pod, but rocking an 8 in a row coming into tonight, which, like I said, I think they're going to lose here in a couple minutes. So I'll shout out them before they lose, and then we have the Patriots on a I think it's a 5-game heater now. So my team, even though my fantasy team's not doing hot, that the other teams are. So still enjoying sports right now.
It's always good to find a little solace in the non-fantasy stuff going on, and some great baseball going on last night up until 1 a.m. almost, watching 18 innings of baseball, of a sport that I don't really even care for, to be honest. But
did you watch the whole game?
I did.
That's impressive. I gotta admit, I was out around 11:15, so I think I was around inning 15. Just couldn't make it. I mean, we had just kind of gotten back from Myrtle Beach too, so I was kind of still on that Eastern Coast time. So it was late. Had to work in the morning and couldn't quite make it. But it was a great game. I watched from inning 1 to inning 15 and pretty much enjoyed every little bit.
Yeah.
Even was tuning in a little bit tonight, kind of in and out as I was, the gym and dinner and stuff. And so I think it's gonna be I think it's 2-2 now, and
yep.
It's fun to watch Ohtani play the game of baseball.
Yeah, just incredible stuff that guy's doing. Let's talk about a more fun sport. Let's talk about some fantasy football here, boys. And we had not much movement to start us off here in the standings. We had, I would say, some news, but not much motion yet. Still sitting at 15-1. It's an incredible record. Again, could easily be 16-0. Lucas sitting at 13-3. Casey dropped a couple games this week, and then Tanner, Sam, Joey, now in the playoff picture, rounds out the top six.
Yeah, and then I'm rounding out here in eight. I will say it's like 1 week and then kind of a week and a half away from that 5-6 spot. So haven't I knew I kind of lost hope a couple weeks ago. The hope is still there a little bit. Um, we'll see what Judkin's injury is. I haven't really looked too much on it. Hopefully it's not anything serious because I can't afford to lose another running back. But I think 10 through 6 is pretty wide open, and I would maybe argue 10 through 5 is open. I think the top four it'd be hard to dethrone those four from a playoff spot, but
Right.
10 through 6 I definitely think's open, and I'd argue 10 through 5. Although I Sam did get a boost with the Skattebo injury, which is very sad, but he has Tyrone Tracy, so you know
Yeah, we'll
we'll
talk
hope to
about it a
him.
bit more in a
Yeah, I
minute.
figured we would touch on it a little
We'll
later.
touch on Scat. Um, but to hit on the points too, we've gotten back out of order after this week. Kind of a strange week. The most out of order one that sticks out to me is Joey, who has rocketed up the point standings since his trade with me. Getting James Cook, who had a monster week. We'll talk more about him. But Joey's almost at 900, so only 100 behind Lucas and I. Has completely, like he put in his team name, rebuilt the team, turned the year around from I think 1 and whatever he
Nine.
was, 1 and 9. So it's gonna be interesting to see because I kept saying it last year. It happened to me. I was 1 and 9, turned the team around, got in the playoffs, lost in the first round, but it can be done. You just got to keep the faith.
Yeah, and then again, shout out my team. If we're going off points for, I have a playoff spot. So
Yep.
maybe that's some foreshadowing for what's to come. But I will say you know Joey is holding on to that 6 spot, and his team does look tough for me to dethrone there. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Lucas and I got over 1,000 this week. Only two so far, and then it looks like Sam is the furthest out of place in the opposite direction, as in lower points but higher record. So just some interesting stats. Points against me, Bo, and Cub are both all sitting about 910, with Cub being the highest right now at 913. Again, if someone can score points against Lucas, I ask every week. I'd really appreciate it. But let's get into some of these matchups, Playdog. Talk about the first one. Cub and Scott. We both picked Cub. Both got it right. I guess we forgot our check marks here. But we'll go through and we can read them. So, Cub had a good week, mostly propelled by Josh Allen. Really didn't seem like he had that monster of a game against Carolina because James Cook was doing so much, but still ended up with 26. Just kind of a normal day at the office for Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean that game was kind of so out of hand there that he really didn't have to do much. I think he only had to throw the ball like 160 yards, and they still wrecked him. So kind of not the most favorable game script for Josh Allen, but I do believe he had some. Maybe he had at least one rushing touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if there was
Padded the
more than
stats a
that.
little
But
bit at the end, from what I remember. I kind of tuned
yeah,
out from that game after it
two
was.
two he had two rushing touchdowns on 3 carries there. So that definitely helped. I will say Gadsden for the Chargers there. Good pickup by Cup. He's been having some good weeks. It's a guy I hadn't really heard of until obviously he popped off. Cup has him in the starting lineup this
Yep.
week, and he goes for 77 yards and a touchdown. So, um,
All in one half, too.
yeah.
Yeah, you joined the club of me and Tanner last week, who also had to figure out who he was after Cub picked him up. So, and then Scott on the other side, kind of disappointing week from Caleb, Rashad White, most of his players really, other than the Bucks defense who tore the Saints up.
Yeah, Stevenson only had 4 points. He actually, for the first time I think of this season, got less rushing yards than Travion Henderson. So maybe good things to come there for my team. But yeah, just not much there. Marvin Mims is a tough start. When you saw
Scott
some
had
of
some
the other
bye week
Broncos.
issues this week, so
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. I mean Williams and Montgomery, but Marvin Mims when the Broncos put up 44 to only get one kind of sucks. But yeah, just not a good week. And then Jaden Daniels, was injured, and that's tough. Scott did spend a decent pick on a quarterback, and
right.
for him to kind of be dealing with the injuries is no fun.
Missed a lot of weeks, yeah, now at this point. Alrighty, moving on to my game.
Okay.
Go ahead with
I,
Bo.
yeah,
I'm going to take a second.
I'll start with Bo. Um, when you look at Bo's team, he did have a great week. I mean, 129, had a solid week, fueled by Saquon Barkley, who had a big 60-yard touchdown, which hadn't seen that out of Saquon this year, but you always know it's there with him. He's a stud. So big 60-yard touchdown for him. And then Bo Nix had another solid week. After the Jets game where I kind of called out the Broncos offense, then he goes to the Giants game and has, not the best first half, but then has a wonderful fourth quarter and then carries that momentum on against Dallas to beat them 44-24, and he has 4 touchdowns. So kind of those guys fueled the way. And then Kyle Pitts kind of seeing a little bit more out of him this year, which is kind of nice. And then McLaurin with the touchdown on his game back, but Bo was missing Gibbs, so
Yep.
kind of a big guy to miss, but for him to go 1-1 is pretty good.
Right. Yeah, it was a great game, Bo. Appreciate the competition this week. Seems like everybody likes to put up some points against me, but if you're not getting to 130, at this point it seems like you can't expect to win. And while it was a good win, have to address the elephant in the room, which is my poor Cam Skattebo getting hurt. And to say it was demoralizing, even in a win this week, is an understatement. And actually, if the producers could just give me my full screen here for a second, Clayton, I'm sorry to cut you out for a second, but I just have a few words that I want to say because Cam and I had a special bond here. And ever since I saw this dude tear up Texas, I knew I loved him. And when I saw him get drafted to the Giants, being behind only Tracy, I knew he'd get a chance. Went as far as to name my team after him. And even after getting hurt in training camp, he was the Giants guy by week 2. And watching him and Dart made watching the Giants fun again. I mean, talk about the definition of a dog. Talk about the true embodiment of grit and physicality. Talk about a guy who showed up to practice every day and every game ready to run through a face. That's a guy I can't get enough of. And that's why he became the lifeblood and the heartbeat of not only the Giants and all of New York, but the league. And somehow, most and least importantly, this fantasy team. But just like Scat, we're not going anywhere. This isn't the last you've seen of this team. We're going to show up every week ready to roll people, and we're going to do it with Scat sitting nice and cozy in the IR spot. And we're going to channel the energy that Scat's bringing to rehab every day into finishing off this championship run, because we all know that's where this season's headed. Rest up, Scat. We'll see you next year, and we'll bring you a ring come playoff time. Woo! All right. I got it out. I needed it. Clayton, good folks at home can hear you again. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I I just don't even think I need to touch on your team anymore. I love the energy, and I love that you're going to keep him in the IR spot to honor him. I think it's well deserved, and
One of my
it
favorite
sucks to
players ever.
yeah, it sucks to see players go down, especially a guy like him who was fueling the Giants turnaround, and you could see the pain in Jackson Dart's eyes the moment Skattebo went down, and it just sucks to see those types of injuries.
And to have Bijan Robinson drop such a dud at the same point, at the same time in the day, made my morning just brutal. But then watching my other dog, Jonathan Taylor, just save the week and be the animal that he is what really fueled me to turn this into a positive thing. So we're back. We're still here. We never left. 15-1. That's probably the only loss I'll get all season. All right, let's move on. Clayton Lucas. I need a breath. Clayton, you go first.
Yeah, I think I might just start with Lucas's team. I picked Lucas. Lucas got a great squad. Um, you know, Brees Hall probably had one of the most exciting fourth quarters I've seen in a long time, and I couldn't help but just sit back and watch him basically take away my hopes of a fantasy win away from me, but fuel the Jets to their first victory. And the passing touchdown he had, the double clutch. I kind of thought maybe he's going to throw it out of bounds. He hits
Yeah,
he hits Mason Taylor in the back of the end zone. I think it was Mason Taylor.
I think you're right.
Um, yeah, just absolutely quite the performance from him. Rasheed Rice, after I was already out of it, did his thing. He probably could have had three touchdowns Monday night, but just the one. But 20 points from him. Derrick Henry kind of bounced back week there with two touchdowns. And then, Jalen Hurts had four passing touchdowns and zero rushing touchdowns, which something you don't see very often from him.
And
But,
one uncalled
good week
fumble.
for. Oh yeah, yeah. That play was tough. They had kind of called that play two different ways that game, and definitely stirring up some controversy. But great week
Yeah.
for Lucas, 142 points. Never a doubt when I picked him. So
Tough to beat
um,
142, I will say. No
yeah,
matter how right. And to do that with McCaffrey only scoring 7, having his worst week of the season by far is impressive. On your side, I mean, what is some promising news for you is that Drake Mays looked great. That's good for you both as a Patriots fan and your fantasy team. And then
yes,
Chase
sir.
Brown, the revival of the Bengals offense with Flacco, has finally kind of started to reach to Chase Brown as well. At first, it was mostly, and it still is, concentrated a lot on Jamar Chase. But Chase Brown has really turned it around these last couple weeks, getting in the end zone a few times, getting over 100 yards the one week, and just looking like someone deserving of that second round pick that you spent, second or third round pick that you sent on him.
Third rounder on
Third
him.
round.
So yeah, him getting 23 was huge. Him getting the end zone twice, huge. I will say they do seem to be putting P Ryan in a little bit more, which
And he's
I
looked
don't
pretty
know if
good.
that's. Yeah, he's looked good. I don't know if that's helping or hurting Brown. Maybe he's just not kind of that bell cow type of back that can get those 20 touchdowns or 20 touches. Maybe he's more like a 12 to 15 touch kind of guy. But, I'll take 20 plus from him every single week without a doubt. So can't complain too much there.
And Clayton, Lars and I talked about this last week, but starting the two tight ends, I think that's the first time that's happened in quite a while in this league. And Kittle looked good. Nice bounce back from his first week when he had 0. You do probably have the best tight end room right now, I'd
The only
imagine.
thing I might have the best of in this league, and it's probably not something you love to claim to have the best of. It was National Tight End Day on Sunday.
Yeah,
Part of the reason I did it, also part of the reason I did it is I kind of figured I don't know if any of my guys would have outscored Kittle, and it's no way I was putting Tyler Warren on the bench there, and at least I was correct about no other guys outscoring George Kittle there for the flex, so
right.
made me feel good, I guess. Tough to see Judkins have the shoulder injury. I don't think it would have made any difference in my game at all. I don't know if it
It
even
was
would have made a
fairly late,
difference.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or
it,
was
it
it?
was in the fourth. It was in the fourth quarter, so I don't think it would have mattered. But not in my game. I was thinking maybe more in terms of the top five of the week, but I don't think it would have mattered there
Oh,
either. So
gotcha.
you know,
Yeah, maybe he falls in
uh,
the end zone or something, but
yeah, I
Mooney
would
is
have
where
needed to
we
get to
really got
130.
killed, I think.
Yeah, I would have had to get 10 more points. So I guess I don't know. Maybe if he would have gotten a touchdown or something, it would have been close. But it is what it is.
Yeah, Mooney really killed you. Kirk, that whole offense in Atlanta looked terrible. So on to bigger and better things next week. All right, and then next we've got Joey and Sam. You and I both picked Joey. We talked a bit about it. Joey's rocketed up. He's had 3 very good weeks ever since our trade. Another 140 points on the back of James Cook this time around, mostly. But another good game from Daniel Jones. Big game from Boswell, who actually doesn't seem like he can miss. And I believe DeAndre Swift got in the end zone again. So those were his big performance. Oh, and then National Tight Ends Day, Goddard. I think he had 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. So
Yes.
big week for Joey.
He had 3 catches, but 2 of them were touchdowns. So
Okay. Three
yeah,
catches,
solid
yeah.
week. Solid week there. Got to highlight the James Cook over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns there. Just absolutely huge week. And then um, I will say he did leave some points on the bench there with Troy Franklin. He had 6 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 89 yards. So, curious to
Over
see
Debo, yeah. Or Wandale,
curious
really.
to see what Joey does, next week. I don't know his buys or anything. I know he has Genty and JSN coming back, but um, maybe I don't know. I don't know if Denver's on a bye or not, but maybe Franklin gets the start there.
Could
And
find a
then
spot.
when you look at Sam's team, just Dak, I don't know what to think of Dak. I need him to do better because of CD. He's
He looked
had good
terrible.
weeks leading into this week though. Like I mean, he was 34, 32, 25, 28, so it's not like, you can't not play him.
Right.
Is Denver's defense that good? Maybe. I know Sertan was kind of dealing with injury throughout that game. I don't know. I saw
I
something
think
that
he's
he
going
might
to
be an
miss a couple
IR.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah, it might be an IR candidate. So tough week for Dak there, getting 6. A Chain continues to perform, but nothing too special there. I guess Pittman continues to perform too.
Pittman's
So
been great. With
yeah,
Daniel Jones, Pittman has been, him and Warren have been the passing guys that are really consistent week to week. And Pittman was a very late round pick because I don't think anyone really believed that Daniel Jones was going to be able to do that. And he's been awesome for Sam.
yeah. And then the -4 points there on the defense is never good. Doesn't help, but Sam's fifth right now in the league, so still in hold of a playoff spot there. And like I said, I think he was probably the only person in our league that got a boost from Skattebo's unfortunate injury.
Yeah, hanging on to Tracy for a while. Um, Unfortunate, but yep. Better luck next week, Sam. And then our game of the week to wrap it up, Tanner versus Casey. This is the only one we split on. I got this one wrong with Casey. You got it right with Tanner. Do you want? So I'll let you take it first.
Yeah, I really do like Tanner's team. I liked Casey's team at the start a ton. But with Bucky not playing, I think Casey had some tough buys this week with ETN and Devonte Adams. So that kind of reason I picked against him. I looked at Tanner's team, didn't really look like he had too much on buys. I know he was kind of dealing with the Lamar Jackson and AJ Brown stuff, but Tanner's team is built on a decent amount of depth there.
Built on
I
the
think
Cowboys as well.
yeah, yeah. Which the Cowboys didn't do great, didn't do bad. But Javonte Williams, he continues to be absolutely a stud. J.K. Dobbins, I kind of still think that Bo won that trade, but Dobbins is doing enough to make it worthwhile for Tanner. He had 15 points this week, and you know, that looks good after he had 9 and then 4 the 2 weeks prior. Lad McConkey looks like he's back, which,
Yep.
and you look at Casey's team, he started, Quentin Johnson, so
Who is
he,
lost?
yeah, who got 0. So I like Tanner's depth there. I think his team's built on depth, and then he did pick up rim job
He got rim
Harvey,
job.
or
He
he's
did.
had
I
rim
tried.
job Harvey,
Yeah.
and he had 24, and I'm curious to see if the Broncos are able to use Dobbins and Harvey both to be valuable players there, because when we have these buys, it's nice to have depth, especially at the running back position, and I'd be curious to see if Rico Dowell continue continues to take that job over in Carolina.
Yeah. Chuba hasn't looked great since coming back. We were talking about. I think it's criminal that Rico's losing those carries, but to talk about Rico going to Casey's team, Baker just didn't need to do anything on Sunday. They were up by I think 10 to 14 points almost immediately. The Saints went to a backup quarterback, and the Bucks were just kind of running out the clock most of the game. So bad week from Baker. Rico just not getting the same carries he did those couple weeks when he was a monster. Even though he looks fairly efficient, I think from what I remember um,
Yeah, 8 for
on the carries.
54.
So I still think he should have more carries there. It's hard when you're losing by 30 points to get any running backs carries. So we'll see what Carolina does there. Vidal, Casey picked up both of the Chargers running backs that 1 week after Hampton got hurt, and it paid off. He's got a good starter there in Vidal, I think, for probably a few more weeks if they don't trade for anybody. Jamar is revitalized with Flacco. He got another 19 targets, I believe, which is just
Yep.
insane. I think the last 2 weeks he's had like
Yeah, I mean
45
that's crazy.
targets combined in 2 weeks. So you throw
But
Jamar Chase 45 balls, he's gonna turn it into good production, whether he's scoring touchdowns or not.
yeah, and then the big one there is Tucker Kraft, 7 for 143, 2 touchdowns on tight end day. Tucker Kraft is a guy who was talked about at the beginning of the year to have a breakout year, and it looks like he's having it.
Yep.
I'd put him up there at maybe even the tight end one spot right now. The Packers, I don't think really have a true wide receiver one. I was hoping Golden was going to be that guy. Doesn't look like he is going to be. It looks like it's going to be Tucker Kraft, which um, kind of cool to see Tucker Kraft be balling. I think he's a fun player to watch, and I, I'm a fan of a good tight end.
we yeah, we can tell. I will say Watson came back this week and he got close to 100 yards. I think he had
Yeah, he looked
435.
good.
He looked pretty
He
good.
looked good.
A guy that I'd been stashing on the IR for a while while we waited for him to come back. So I was pretty excited to see him get some targets and some down the field action in the first game back. See how he does. But that wraps us up here. To recap the picks, Clayton. I don't know if you heard at the end of last episode, but you had a 5-0 week 2 weeks ago now. When we had last picked, before we took that week off, you actually had another 5-0 week this week. So 10-0 in the
Yeah,
last couple to really surge back. The only problem is I've gone 8-2 in that time, so made up
yeah.
some
I will
ground.
say it's nice to be positive though, like above 500. This is my first week of being above 500 in the picks, so cool feeling. I feel much better about my performance right now.
Yeah, and only 4 game difference now, so it's much more competitive than it was just a few weeks ago. So I wouldn't buy your ticket just quite yet. I think we still have a little bit of waiting to see how this thing pans out.
I agree. I agree. I think there's still a chance. Still a chance.
Alrighty, well let's wrap it up, gentlemen. Let's have another good week this week. Hopefully a better injury wise week for me. Just selfishly saying so I don't have to almost blow another gasket there, or take up another bench spot with a important player to my team.
Yeah, no, injuries are no fun. Been dealing with them every week all year. and
Yeah.
no fun.
No fun. Well, Clayton, congrats on the wedding. It's good to have you
Thank you, sir.
back. We will be
Thank you,
back
sir.
later this week, Friday probably, to go over next week's match or this week's matchups and some waivers. Seems like there's some good players out there, so I'm sure we'll have something interesting go on tonight.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely have some stuff moving and grooving, so we'll see.
Perfect. All right, boys. We'll talk to you soon. Clayton, have a good evening.
Thank you too, Ryan, and boys, good luck tonight on the waivers, and good luck, this week. Hope you guys have a wonderful week.